Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Nikki here, and I thought this December was going to be a really easy month to do all the crafty things because I am not working. But it's turned out my social life and prepping for Christmas has taken so much time. I've had to do little bits of Dephemerember when I could grab a minute or two, and I didn't video making any of these. It just didn't happen. I was crafting sort of late at night or early in the morning, so I thought instead of worrying about that, we are roughly at the halfway mark. I have almost caught up, and I thought I would show you what I have been doing when I had a few minutes to spare. So my very first one, using the prompt fluff and mason jar, I had this gorgeous little gnome that I had printed off from somewhere. I have included a little staff or a stick to make it look as though he's carrying a little lantern, and the lantern is a mason jar with some cute little shiny stars. And for fluff, I glued down a little bit of eyelash trim to sort of look like snowy, grassy stuff. I really have no idea, but we needed fluff, so that's where I've added fluff. And of course, there is fluffy hair there too, which is sort of on the same track. So that is day one. Day two, we had to use splatters and a playing card. I panicked when I first saw this. I know I have about 3 sets of playing cards, but currently they are in storage. And I thought, oops, might have to go and buy some playing cards. Then I remembered I had this piece of scrapbooking paper that is full of these playing cards. So I just cut one of those out. I've attached it to some book page. I've put some bronze coloured splatters on it. And then, seeing we were going with the butterfly theme, I've fussy cut out a little butterfly and just stamped the word fly on it. So very simple. And as you'll see as we're going through, I have not gone all vintage. I have not gone all grunge. I've done sort of quite a mix. That's why I did not make a journal for this project, because I knew it just would not all go together. So I've just made the separate pieces, and then I can use them in journals down the track. So number 3, we had to use bright colours and a journaling card. Had this gorgeous foiled scrapbook paper, which I've turned into a journaling card, and then just popped a bit of white paper down there so that my little paint tube and my paintbrush, you could actually see them because they sort of got lost on the bright coloured paper. And then I just have it's a little mark I made on a book page that I've sort of made a little tab out of that and just stapled it on. As you can see, these are not as elaborate as what other people have done because I didn't have the time. But I know I would have been really upset if the month passed and I didn't do this project. So I thought, look, just do what you can do, and that's that. So the next one here, we need recycled art and a coin envelope. Of course, I didn't have any coin envelopes, so I simply made one with a book page. My recycled art was a little piece of, I think it's also book page, that had these swirls painted on it. So I've just simply glued that on, added a few fussy cuts out of a magazine, and this super cute little birdie that was in my stash, and of course numbers. So I just put a little number tag on that one. Then the next one was numbers or sentiment and a ticket. Didn't really have any tickets, so I just made my own. I had done in November a masterboard, very neutral one. So I used a piece of that, and then I used my hole punch to simply make it look like a ticket. And I've got these 2 gorgeous little fussy cut teacups that were from a Daphne's diary. And I've gone with numbers on my tickets instead of sentiment, because I sort of didn't have a lot of space on this one. And then one of my little mini doilies that I've cut in half just to make it look a bit high tea-ish. So that's my ticket for high tea. Then the next one was feather and bingo card. Didn't have a bingo card either, so I had to print one out. And I thought I would make a little tuck spot to go with this one. So this is just a piece of packaging, and I glued a napkin that my mother had that I loved the sort of neutral colours in that. So I just glued napkin on it, then fussy cut out some leaves. And initially this thought process came from this gorgeous picture of a kookaburra I had from another mag, and that was going to be my feathers. So I made this as it was, and then literally the next day I went for a walk down the beach and I found this stunning feather. So straight away I grabbed it and came home and glued it onto my bingo card because I didn't have a feather, and I just loved that one. I loved the colours in it. So that was that one. Then the next one was a handwritten memory and a loaded tag. Now, this one is quite over the top, but hidden in here is my handwritten memory, and I put a little tiny piece of scrapbook paper on so you can pull it out. This is because, honestly, all my family holidays always were in summertime. They involved the beach. They involved swimming. They involved eating ice creams and things like that. So, of course, I used some nautical themed cardstock that I had in my stash, and then I've just layered up all these things. And that's what my memory is all about, is fabulous family holidays that I've had. So loved how that one turned out. Then the next one, we had to do beads, postage stamp, dangle. Didn't quite know what to do with this one, but what I have ended up doing was creating some banners out of different types of paper, and I've put them onto a paper clip, and I attached a stamp, a couple of little flowers, and then I made a beaded dangle with a butterfly on it. And I think that will have to cover that one. I mean, I just didn't like the idea of using a postage stamp in the dangle, so I have cheated, but I have sort of done that prompt. There we go, there's that one. Next, we're collage, foddering, and junk mail. I have tons of collage fodder, so I just covered a tag that I just made out of a file folder. And the junk mail part, this came off a brochure, and I've made a little tuck spot that I can put something in later. So there's my junk mail, and there's my collage fodder. I was going to put the collage fodder onto some junk mail, but I sort of forgot. I found this in the bin, actually. Mum had thrown it in the bin. So I just sort of made it up as I went along. And there we go. So we do have our junk mail on there. Then the next one was leaves and an envelope. I started off, this is a piece of gel print paper that I did with some real leaves. So I thought, well, that's a good place to start. And then I was just going to stick that onto an envelope, but I couldn't get the size of it to work. So I went, no, stuff it, I'll just turn it into an envelope. So I grabbed a piece of book page, and I then just sewed around the edge and turned what I did have of it, because it wasn't big enough to make a full envelope. I even cut out a little window, put a bit of plastic in there so you can sort of see the book page through that. And then I've got magazine fussy cuts that I've embellished the front with, and a little stamp because it was green and it sort of had leaves and some mangoes on there. And I found this floating around in my stash and thought it made the perfect tag to pop in here, and it literally does just fit inside my envelope. So that's that one. Next, we are doing, what are we doing here? Handmade stamp and a jumbo tag. Now, because a lot of my crafting stuff is in storage, wasn't quite sure what to make my stamp with. But then I remembered I made these things with pieces of cardboard and some hot glue, and I made those to use with my gel press plate, for some nice patterns. And I went, hang on a minute, there's no reason why I can't put ink on this and turn it into a stamp. So that is exactly what I did with this one. And as you can see, I grabbed bronze and gold and this rose gold coloured ink, and I stamped all on the background. Now, of course, I ended up covering it up just about with all these pretty things. But I found this in my stash, which was this gorgeous little teacup, and then I just did some layering. I've got a little piece of lace and a bit of, what do you call that? Grid paper, just for fun, and turned that into a nice large tag. So that is how I did my stamping. And then lucky last, now this is day 12, so this is where I'm up to. We had to use lace and a postcard. I could not find a postcard anywhere, so I just grabbed some scrapbooking paper. I cut this out of a children's magazine, and I just thought I'd go, have a little bit of fun with this one. The prince with the crown, I sort of cut him off by accident. I meant him to come down here, but oops, got a bit carried away with the cutting. And of course the lace, I've added this to the bottom of her skirt and some bling. And of course we've also got a little mouse that's part of this fairy tale. So I stuck him down as well. And I used, for the very first time, I used my glossy accents that I got in some Happy Mail the other day. And oh boy, isn't that fun stuff to use. I don't know how I have lived without this. I can see this bottle disappearing very fast. And then I also use some Nuvo drops. And that's that one. So we are now all up to date, and I will do another video when I have finished this. Until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.